Hi guys, it's Marina. I'm back again for another video, and today I want to talk about whether or not I'm strange. Um, and I, how should I put this? So we're getting closer and closer to the 2024 elections, and I hear people talking about we got to make this too big to rig. We've got to overwhelm the ballot box and things like that. And I just find that I'm having a really difficult time getting on that bandwagon. Now, I'm not here to spread any kind of, black pill or to make people feel like they need to give up or anything like that. By exactly the opposite. I just think that there is no point in giving up. I mean, then what? I don't really get that. However, the optimism to me feels very, very fake. And I'm struggling to get on board with this optimism, and I'm going to explain why. Um, Everyone saw what happened in 2020, and I almost feel like I don't need to go into the many different ways. I think people saw what happened in 2020, they saw what happened in 2022, and in my view, those elections were already too big to rig. Um, and I don't believe that they were rigged. I believe that we just simply had enough people who were willing to either lie about the outcome or the vote totals, or they were willing to certify vote totals that, if they weren't sure whether they were right or not, is kind of neither here nor there. They were going to certify vote totals based on what they wanted the outcome to be, and maybe some of them knew they were wrong, maybe others just didn't care whether they were right or wrong. We know that we've had rulings that some of the COVID policies that were put in place were illegal. They were against various states' constitutions. And we also know about, and I almost feel like people have forgotten about if I'm not mistaken, some 25,000 affidavits that were filed in these various cases. Everyone's like, there was no evidence. The courts look at them, there were no evidence. No, that's not what happened. Probably if you're watching this video, you know that that's not what happened. But we did have thousands of affidavits of people, saying absolutely 100%, under penalty of perjury, that they saw various types of fraud. We saw hearings about these things. We saw hearings in Michigan. We saw hearings in Georgia. We saw hearings in different locations about things that were not even anomalies, things like Xerox copies of material that that were included in these cases. And I look across the country. We also have the stories, the videos of vote totals kind of jumping around, erratically changing as they're reporting on these election outcomes. And so I don't know that any of that has been fixed. I mean, somebody point me to a situation, a state, a local, where they have fixed. And when I say fixed, I mean, if they had machines, they don't have them anymore. They've replaced them, they've updated them, and they've tested them so they know that all of the funky business is no longer happening. We can say that we want to have poll watchers and people who are going to sit in on the counting, and people who are going to alert if they feel that something's wrong, signature matches. But the problem is that all of that stuff was supposed to be done before. It's not as if this was new laws that they didn't have before. All of these laws already existed. People just ignored them. And they'll ignore them again, because why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they ignore them again? There's every reason for them to ignore all of these laws that were existing in 2020, 2022, to ignore them in 2024, and just simply report and certify the results that they want to certify. I don't even know if I'm going to be allowed to upload this video. Already I've been having so many problems with uploads, which is why I haven't put up as many videos as I would have liked to. Over the past few days, I had a couple of videos that took 2 or 3 days just to upload. I'm working on that. Hopefully I'll work some of that stuff out. Hopefully I will be able to upload this video on my tiny little channel. But no one... somebody tell me if I'm mistaken. If I remember correctly, in Michigan, there was a particular county, they didn't want to certify the results of the election because they felt a concern that they were not accurate, and somebody was threatened, said something to the effect of, I know where your kid goes to school, and as a result of that, that person changed their mind and actually did, certify. And hello, is anybody in jail? Has anybody been prosecuted for that? I mean, I know we have a few people that have been prosecuted here and there for voting when they weren't supposed to, or voting more than once. Those are really not the people I'm concerned with. And I will tell you why, and most concerned with. Because the count process should weed out those people. You should not be counting anyone's vote twice. And there should be some method in place in the counting to weed out someone who voted more than once. Maybe there isn't, but there should be. But I don't feel like those people are the ones who are changing the what would be certified in an election. We still have counties that were changing their vote totals after they certified their election, which means that it was wrong. And my understanding, correct me again if I'm wrong, when you certify, you're certifying that they're right. Someone has put out this arbitrary, I guess the mainstream media has created this arbitrary standard, like there was no widespread fraud and that it wasn't enough to change the results. How do we know that? How do we know that? You're not supposed to certify approximately correct, we think reflects the outcome that would be if they were actually correct. Where does that even come from? That's ridiculous. So there's this new standard that's pushed in the mainstream media about it's not widespread, it's not enough to change the results of the outcome, people are trying to overturn things. All of these things are complete nonsense. They're a deflection. It's a fraud, okay? These are talking points that they put out to try to embarrass and shame people who want to know the exact count for every contest, for every jurisdiction in the country. And ideally, we'd like to know it at the end of the day or maybe early the next morning. Obviously, we know that there's nothing unreasonable about that because it's done all over the world. The more people you have in a country, the more people you have voting, the bigger your pool is available for people to help count. And I don't believe that we have any shortage of that. If we did, I bet you put out the call and patriots all over the country would show up to help count votes if that's what's necessary. So none of the problems that we had in 2020 and in 2022 have been fixed. I have to be honest, I'm a little annoyed that back in 2020, 2022, we had people at the top of our party saying, oh, no, you have to vote in person, you have to vote in person, you got to vote on the day of the election, you got to vote in person on the day of the election. Oops. Now they're like, no, you got to vote in advance, you got to vote, trust me, we got to get out early and we got to vote in advance. Well, which one is it? Well, if you don't know what the right standard is for how people should be voting to have the most secure vote, to have the least problems, then just shut up and don't say anything. Don't tell people, oh, no, vote on the day of, if you don't know whether or not that's the best way for them to go about voting in their area. If you don't know whether or not there are plenty of machines, plenty of, technical support, all of these different things, then you don't have to say anything. And now here we have all of these people saying, oh, no, you have to vote early. Well, what? I want people who don't know to be quiet. And if you do know, and it's a wink, wink, nod, nod, please just play along. I'm not going to play along. Sorry, I know this is going to upset some people, but I'm not playing along. I only operate effectively in the truth. I only operate effectively. I can only play a game if I know what the rules are. And I can only be a part of a team if we're all on the same page. That does not change anything about the policies that I support and the people that I support. It doesn't change this at all. But what am I supposed to just go along, wink, wink, nod, nod? This time we're going to do it early because it didn't work when we did it in person on the day of. Meanwhile, all these criminals that are going around doing whatever they want to do to get whatever outcome that they want, these people are still walking around. They're not in prison. They're not under the prison. They're not on trials. Instead, people like Tina Peters is going to prison. Yeah, I don't know who the people are that are going to just play along with this. I have plenty of faith. I trust God. I believe that God will do the things that he wants to do in his time, but that doesn't mean that I have to be okay and willing to operate within a lie. I know people have different things that they may want to call it. They may want to call it a game. But the bottom line is we have many counties still from 2020 that had more votes than they had registered voters. I happen to know that Sacramento County in California was one of those counties. More votes than registered voters. As of January 2021, their voter registrations had not caught up with the number of votes. If I'm not mistaken. I welcome anyone to check and correct if I say something that you know to be wrong. This is information that I believe to be correct based on my own research. Obviously, it's always possible I could have misunderstood something, but based on my own audits that I did for my own state, they knew that they weren't correct and nobody's in jail. So maybe it's me, I'm weird because I don't hear any people out there demanding from the people that we do trust in politics. Because I guess we do have some people, if we trust Donald Trump. I'm not a person that I don't want to call it idol worship because I know a lot of people love him, and I do love what he's done. I love the sacrifices that he's made for this country, and I do believe that he is sincere. I look at all of these people that are talking about Donald Trump did this, Donald Trump did that. I was like, you know what? He's been a businessman for like 40 years before he went into politics. All of these people that have been in politics all their life, all of these people in the Senate that came through the path of being attorney general in their state, okay, all of these people in the House of Representatives that used to be prosecutors in their state, if he was doing something wrong, they should have done something then. As far as I'm concerned, they missed their opportunity when he entered politics for them to go after all the things that he did before while they were lined up to get donations for their own campaigns. So no. But I do believe that we have a right to ask questions of these people and have them explain on what authority and what basis they told people to vote in person on the day of in 2022, and now they've done a complete 180 and they're telling us to do the opposite. I want those questions answered, and I'm not moving until I get those questions answered. Other people, I'm not suggesting that none of you guys should move. If you feel comfortable, you feel like you're doing what you need to do, we wouldn't allow this from the left. We wouldn't allow this from them. So I don't think that we should allow things from our own that we wouldn't allow from the other side. Let's not become the thing that we're trying to get rid of in this country. We would not allow them telling us one thing and then telling us something else. And if this is a lesson, I got it. I do not suffer from political amnesia. I don't ever forget what a public servant promised to do. And so, as far as I'm concerned, there is no security on November 5th in the outcomes. There will never be until people are afraid to just throw out any kind of wackadoodle. You know what? If nothing happens, if nothing changes in the next 27, 28 days, by the time I get this updated, we will have more votes than people of legal age to vote. And they will tell you to shut up and sit down. How dare you question and try to overturn the results. So I'm not accepting this. I want answers. And if I don't get them, I can't make people give them to me, but I can ask for them, and I can say, I'm not playing along. I'm not playing. I don't want to play. I'm not going to play. I operate in the truth. I only operate in the truth. I will accept nothing less. So if someone wants to tell me the truth about how and why I should trust this year's elections and why I should not just assume that we've got more of the same, they can tell me. Otherwise, I look at all of these people talk about too big to rig. We have to overwhelm them. You know, if somebody picks up the ball and goes home, you cannot kick the ball into the goal. We all know we were gaslighted in 2020. I feel like I want to record an alternate video about what I really think happened in 2020. I don't know if I will ever do that because it's just based on hunches, speculation. It's not based on any evidence whatsoever. But I require evidence to operate. I require evidence to move. There are many, many things that I do in faith, but this isn't one of them. Sorry. This just isn't one of them. All right. I look forward to having conversations with you in the comments. And if there is anybody that ever sees this video and there are comments, I would expect those comments to say, but you can't give up. This is not about giving up. I will be a poll watcher this year. I intend to do that. And anything that I need for volunteering on that day, anything that anyone needs me to do, I'm willing to do that. I've done a lot up to that point. I'm willing to volunteer. I've been through different trainings and different things like that. Maybe I don't know. There's a lot of things that I'm certainly willing to do. But participate in a sham of an election, what I think is a sham. And by the way, this is for entertainment purposes only. This is only my opinion. It's not even intended to influence anyone to do anything more than demand answers from the people that they support, whatever those questions you might have. Never allow them to get away with not answering questions just because they're ours. Okay? I go under Republican parody on Twitter, a Republican politician parody, and that's because I heard Jimmy Dore say something, and he said, people ask him, why do you criticize Democrats all the time? Why are you constantly putting down Democrats? And I don't know if he's still a Democrat. He might be independent now, but at the time he said, because I'm a Democrat. He's like, why would I criticize Republicans? I don't expect them to do what I want, so I expect the things that they do to be something that I don't like, but that's what their voters like, so why would I criticize them? I criticize Democrats, he said, because I'm a Democrat. Well, at this point, I'm criticizing Republican politicians, some of the ones that you know what you did and what you didn't do, and I'm not saying that you should have or could have, but you know what you did and didn't do. I'm criticizing those people for telling us to do exactly the opposite of what they told us to do in 2022 without explaining why. Kamala Harris is on tour right now, on her media tour, doing exactly that. Saying the exact opposite. She supported fracking, she bans fracking. Okay? If she wants to take our guns, she doesn't want to take our guns. Vote in person, vote on the day of elections, vote early. Yeah, no, I'm not accepting that. And you shouldn't either. Demand answers. If you have a platform, demand answers. You may not get it, and it may not matter to you, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't demand it, because I know I'm not the only one who has these questions. Please like if you like my content, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment, and I look forward to talking to you on the next one.